I'm Kathleen Swanson here at Channel 17 with our ongoing Under the Dome legislative coverage. And with us today are three of Burlington's members of House of Representatives. And with me today is Mark Larson, a Democrat from Burlington, Joey Letty Donovan, also a Democrat, and Kesha Ram, who is the newest member of the legislature from Vermont, from Burlington, right? So we'd like to start with an update of the committees that each of these reps are on and find out what's going on in this session. So Mark, you're on the Appropriations Committee and you're vice chair.
I am.
So that must be an exciting agenda that you have.
It certainly has been a very interesting year. We have so far two things driving our agenda. One is the fact that in the past year or so, obviously our economy has turned south quite dramatically, and with it have gone Vermont's revenues, the revenues that the state receives. And in the past year, we've lost about $150 million in revenues as a result of the recession. And so we're looking at fairly dramatic decisions about how to address the gap that's been created by that drop in revenue, while at the same time we see a dramatic increase in the demand for state services, with people looking for unemployment benefits, people who are looking for assistance from the state to support them while they're looking for work, as well as people looking for benefits like food stamps, LIHEAP, and other things. So it's a fairly dramatic convergence of a drop in revenues with an increase in the demand for state services. And so secondly, obviously there's been a lot of attention about the Federal Recovery Act, which provides a significant amount of money to states, including Vermont, as well as a significant investment in our infrastructure, with the dual goal of both addressing some of our infrastructure needs as well as creating jobs. And the particular goal is that with the private sector cutting back so much in their spending, the intent is to try to increase public spending to help keep our economy going until the private sector recovers from what we're seeing. So those two things have been the focus of our attention for the first couple of weeks.
Do you have a handle on when you'll have more information about the federal stimulus proposal?
Well, the bill is now done in Washington, and we continue to get bits of information. We know that we can pretty much count on about $300 million that will be of help to our state budget. And then beyond that, another, probably $300 to $400 million that is available for other projects like healthcare IT and broadband investments and roads and bridges and a variety of investments in our public infrastructure. So there'll be more information coming in the next probably week or two, and then we'll spend a good amount of time in schools as well, significantly benefit from the package. The trick will be to figure out how do we best draw down as much money as we possibly can.
That's right. So on that note, why don't we switch over to you, Joey, and talk about the education.
Thanks, Kathleen. I am chairing the Education Committee this year, and the first few weeks we have sort of reviewed a lot of the system of education. It's kind of a unique role because actually many of the education decisions are made locally. And so the education department sort of has a regulatory and also a support system to it. They also, of course, are feeling the impact of the very dire financial atmosphere that we're living in. And they're faced with, they've already done some cuts, facing with more cuts, which again, I think will impact some of the support some of our local schools can feel. We also, I think, as a committee, we're kind of trying to react and support schools after the governor sort of suggested that they be level funded, sort of at the 11th hour, when many school districts had made their budgets and had been very, very, I think they were very lean budgets too locally, because they recognize that it's difficult to get anything passed in this environment. And so we have heard from a lot of school districts about things that they have been doing to continue the quality education that's going on, which many, many national indicators show that Vermont is doing very well while providing sort of a cost-effective education. We also, last week, there has been a bill that has been going very, very quickly through the General Assembly, and that's the sex offenders bill. The Senate Judiciary Committee started shortly after the Brooke Bennett murder in the summer to start to go around the state and have hearings. And as this has come now, it's passed the Senate, it came to the House Judiciary, and our committee has spent about a week looking at the parts that have impact to schools. They're going to try to deliver services of getting to more word out about signs of sexual abuse and what it means, and also we're going to have more checks on teachers' backgrounds to ensure that schools are safe. Right. Although from my point that was a little bit unnecessary, because I think our teachers are more in the habit of protecting and supporting our children, and very few are ever involved in any cases of abuse. But I think folks felt that just because of the tragedy that went on last summer, that we need to protect our children more. So we've been looking at that, and unfortunately that's going to have unfunded mandates on local school districts, that they're going to have to produce more in their health curriculum and things around this area. And we are also, I think, looking forward to starting to really look at special education, and that's a growing expense throughout Vermont, and see if there's some ways that we can still deliver quality services at at a lower price.
Interesting. So, Kesha, why don't you fill us in on what you've been doing in your committee?
Sure, yeah. Well, general housing and military affairs is a really fascinating place to be as a new legislator. Yeah. It's one committee, I often get asked that. And on the general side of things, we're dealing with everything from elevator inspections to tribal burial grounds, to alcohol tastings. So it really covers a broad range. But I think that on the housing and military side of things is really where we're seeing most of our attention focused. Housing is just such an integral part of how we stabilize our economy, right, and how we revitalize our economy. It's affordability, it's accessibility, it's livability. So we're looking at a lot of cost-neutral ways to ensure that renters have everything they need to keep renting at an affordable rate. To ensure that home ownership, that people are able to maintain their mortgages and maintain put safeguards on their home ownership, and also that we create more affordable housing, and that is where some of the funding issues come in. And so we're waiting to see somewhat what will come down the federal pipeline. On the military side of things, we're facing our largest deployment of our Vermont National Guard troops since World War II. 1,800 members of our Guard will be going to Afghanistan. So we've had a hearing with our federal delegation and also with members of the Vermont National Guard, and we'll just see as things progress what support services the returning soldiers, the families that have their guardsmen and women leaving to go overseas, and the employers in the state who are employing guardsmen and women will need.
Well, there's a huge need, I'm sure, if there's that many families affected by somebody leaving their home. Yes, this call-up will reach every corner of the state, and every community will be affected, and certainly those families in particular. What kind of services does the state provide the members of the military, their family? There's a extensive family readiness program, which I think is doing its utmost right now and is looking for more support. But they have some youth empowerment programs so that kids are able to talk to other kids who are going through the same thing, making sure that if the pipes burst in the middle of the night in a home where there's a mom with her kids and her husband is overseas, they're able to take care of it immediately. They have some funds for that. So really just everything from emergencies to the long-term mental and emotional and physical health of the families.